39 degrees. This is the worst part about having a garage gym. So working on some elbow flexors today, otherwise known, most people could say biceps. All the elbow flexors are innervated by the musculocutaneous nerve except one. Do you know which one that is? So they are all innervated by the musculocutaneous nerve, which is the C5 and C6 nerve root, the superior trunk off the brachial plexus, and then the lateral cord. So any lesion along that pathway, you can get some elbow flexion weakness. The one that is not is the brachioradialis, which is innervated by the radial nerve, and also the brachialis is actually dually innervated. It is musculocutaneous and radial nerve. Why do you need so many shoes? You're just like your mom. 3 shoes and a bone. So now we'll do incline dumbbell curls. It'll really get that long head lift up because you're putting it on a stretch. The lower the angle, the more stretched, the better it'll be. But then typically I hit the ground if I go any lower, so I can't. But you can do this. You can sit up higher on the bench. There we go. And that way you're more horizontal or flat, and you'll get a really good stretch. So anatomy tip for training, since we're doing elbow flexors, the bicep is actually a supinator. That's its primary purpose, not elbow flexion as most people think. It's the brachialis that pretty much does this only, or does that only. So if you want to maximize bicep development, hold the dumbbell further out from you, or lateral away, like this, versus here. The reason why is if you hold it out here, nothing is holding this part of the dumbbell, so gravity is pulling that weight down. And you start in a pronated position and twisting the weight, this part of the dumbbell is trying to fall back down into pronation. So to overcome that, you have to use your bicep to supinate. Versus if you hold it closer to you, as you twist, this is already falling down, so you're not actually getting a lot of supination. It's gravity that's helping you. So that is a tip based on anatomy on how to maximize bicep brachii development. You get one of these furry hand warmers for cold weather training. Oh yeah, hands are getting toasty. Keep licking. Such a weirdo. Alright, tricep pushdowns. You can see how your shoulder's in a flexed position. So that's putting the long head of the tricep on a stretch. Therefore, it should be maximally activated. So you're gonna get some good long head of the tricep work. You're gonna get all three heads, but some exercises emphasize one muscle over the other. You want to keep your shoulders back and push down. You also want to get a little shoulder extension because remember the long head does shoulder extension. That's why having it like this with shoulder flexion puts it on a little bit of a stretch. So if you extend the elbow and extend the shoulder, you're going to get as much of the long head of the tricep as you can. Standing here versus coming back. By coming back, the weight is trying to pull me like this. That way I can get more of that shoulder extension portion. Bench, you need a spot, hold on. We gotta get some triceps. You having a good time? So next is gonna be banded barbell curls. The reason why we're doing this, as we said earlier, when you're doing a movement, so in this case elbow flexion, so when the elbow is fully extended and you initiate the flexion, the pull of the bicep tendon is going to be its greatest, and therefore it's going to cause the most irritation to that tendon if you have tendonitis. So that's why I'm doing these, to train around tendonitis, because here, no tension on the band, no tension on the band. As we pull up, the tension gets greater, but because we're here, this is not as strong of a pull on the tendon as it is down here. So that way, less weight where it's most painful, more weight where it's non-painful. It's a good use of anatomy as well as pathophysiology and how to train around injuries. Another reason why bands are good for muscle hypertrophy work is because they're trying to shoot you down. As you have the barbell up here, the bands have the most tension, so they're trying to pull you against gravity. So you have to really control the eccentric portion. And as we've learned in another one of my slides or workout videos, that the eccentric portion of a movement is where the most muscle damage occurs, therefore the most muscle hypertrophy. So that is another benefit of using bands. So typically you don't want to use bands for high rep movements, but in this case we're using it for a specific purpose apart from power output. As you can see, the band has no tension when I was down here, and as I got to the top it was pretty heavy. Not sure how much it is, but doubling over these bands produces quite a bit of tension. As you can see, only 5 pounds on each side, which is not very much weight to what I could do without the bands. So that way I'm not loading my bicep tendon and other elbow flexor tendons as much, therefore reducing continued inflammation and tendonitis. Board questions for AB, PM&R, and possibly physical therapy are the way to rehab tendonitis injuries, especially like lateral epicondylitis, is focusing on the eccentric motions. So that would be slowly going into wrist flexion for lateral epicondylitis. In this case, I'm kind of rehabbing my bicep or elbow flexor tendonitis with eccentric elbow flexion. portion up. That way you don't irritate the tendon. Just focus on the concentric portion. So for this last set, we're going to put the band on the outside. And once we can't get any more reps with the band on there, we'll take the band off. Just putting it on the outside makes it easier to take the band off. And then we'll get as many eccentric reps with only 55 pounds as we can. So that was an anatomy-based arm training day. So it's how you can maximize hypertrophy and efficiency by training different muscles based on their actions and their origins and insertions, as well as how to train around injuries, mainly tendonitis and these chronic injuries that people who like to work out get, or rehabbing them as well. So follow our channel on Instagram, Fitness Medicine, for pretty much daily fitness and medical tidbits.